Welcome to the Faith and Happiness Playground. I am your host, Elle Edwards, mental health champion, positive psychology geek, and founder of this place. And I'm here with Bible-friendly happiness coaching to help you be youier. Youier, you, the person that God made you to be, so that together we can reclaim what it means to be Christian and make this world a more loving, delightful, light-filled place. Now, this conversation about light, we're actually digging into a little bit more today. And I'm going to be changing the format of the podcast just a little bit. Well, not the format, just the stories that I'm going to be telling you, bringing in more stories. So like, for example, today's episode is all about something that I picked up while I was out walking the dogs just yesterday. It was a rock. Well, it still is a rock. So earlier on in the day, my son had said to me, "You owe me £1." I said, "All right, I'd forgotten about that." And he was right. I did owe him £1. We'd had a non-uniform day in the school, and you have to pay £1. The money all goes to the charity Children in Need. And I didn't have enough change, but he had £1. So I said, "Oh, no worries, use your £1, I'll pay you back." So he's right. I did owe him £1. And he said to me, "If you've got a rock, I'll have that instead of the £1." And I said, "Well, I haven't got a rock. I'll help you find a rock, but you can still have your £1. But why do you want a rock?" And he pulled out of his bag a little tiny hat. And this little tiny hat he bought on a bottle of smoothie. If any of you are familiar with innocent smoothies, I don't entirely know why, unless it's just to grab attention. But currently in the local co-op, they are selling bottles of innocent smoothies with a little teeny tiny hat on the top. And my son had bought one purely because the hat was really, really cute. And now he wanted something to put the hat on. And he'd come to the conclusion he was going to have a pet rock. But I didn't have a rock big enough. So I did promise him, sent him off to school. I promised I would keep my eyes open for a rock. And if I got one, I would find one. He said, "Well, not too dirty, mind." I said, "Well, don't worry, we can wash it." Anyway, fast forward to maybe an hour later. And I decided to take the dogs out for a walk. It was pretty chilly. I wrapped up warm. But getting cold was preferable to getting wet. Living in Wales, it's a toss-up between the two. But I wrapped up warm, and as I was walking along, there was one particular bit. We'd gone across the field. We were going over this other little car parky bit, and there were some little tiny sort of pebbly, well, not pebbles, but little tiny sort of bits of stone. I decided they were probably too small. They weren't going to be big enough to be a head for my son's hat. So I kept walking. And then there was another little sort of collection, as I'd gone across this car park, sort of overway a little bit, of bits of rubble. But to be quite honest, getting the rubble would have meant having to sort of clamber with the dogs over stuff, and I wasn't really up for that. So I kept going. But within about 2 minutes of walking, I found Rocky. He was just lying there minding his own business, this lump of rock. So I picked it up, had a little look at it, and thought, yeah, okay, that's probably about the right sort of size. Truth will be told, when we put the hat on him afterwards, I don't entirely know, but it looks about right. So I took Rocky home. But, and this is the reason why I'm telling you about this, as I was continuing to walk home, I had the dog leads in one hand and I had Rocky in the other. I noticed that my hand was getting colder and colder because it's winter time. There's no sun to warm the rock. What I was reflecting on was the fact that actually in the summertime, of course, the heat of the sun, it goes into the rock and makes it nice and warm. And then that play on words, sun, as in like sunshine, S-U-N, versus sun, S-O-N, as in like Jesus. And this thought occurred to me, and the reason I wanted to share it with you, this reminder that we can be that source of that vehicle for storing the sunlight, or the sunlight, the Jesus light, and sharing it out there with other people. And it works both ways, of course. Like, one of my goals here at the Faith and Happiness Playground is to help you be happier. And I do that with little stories and silly little daft things to help make you smile, because the reality is you're not going to be happy every single moment of every single day. Like, quite literally, 2 days ago, my husband said, "Oh, you're just being so grumpy all the time." I said, "All the time?" "Well, for the last half an hour." I was like, right, okay. Well, in the big scheme of things, me being grumpy for half an hour is not a big problem. Well, I don't like it, which is fair enough. For the record, I was being grumpy because there was wood shavings everywhere. My daughter had cleaned out her rabbits, which is a good thing, but then she'd shaken out the blankets all over the back and it was a right old mess. So I was having a bit of a chunter and a moan to myself. Maybe you do this as well. You just sort of like, chunter, 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 chunter. Got it out of my system. It took less than half an hour. My point being, though, if you come here and you see me, sharing stuff with you, and yes, most of the time I'm going to be smiling, but I don't want you to labor under the false illusion that everybody is happy all of the time, and therefore because you're not happy all the time there's something wrong with you. That's just not the reality. Like I've just shared with you, can be quite grumpy sometimes. Something gets on my nerves, or in the car as well, when somebody like cuts off in front of me, or they're really grumpy. Like, I've got a bright yellow car. I don't do road rage, but I really don't like it. You know, if you let somebody through and then they don't put their hand up to say thank you, I moan about that as well. My point is, you're not going to be happy all of the time. So by being here and sharing stories with you, if you're having a day or a moment in a day where things are just feeling a bit much, my goal is hopefully to help lift you and make it a little bit more lovely. I can be that reflection of the sun for you and fill you with God's love, so that you in turn can go out there and be that love and that light and that warmth of the sun, Jesus, for other people. It reminds me of Matthew 5. I have it open. Here we go. One of my favourite bits in Matthew 5. This is Matthew 5:14. Your lives light up the world. Let others see your light from a distance. For how can you hide a city that stands on a hilltop? And who would light a lamp and then hide it in an obscure place? Instead, it's a place where everyone in the house can benefit from its light. So don't hide your light. Let it shine brightly before others, so that the commendable things you do will shine as light upon them, and they will give praise to your Father in heaven. You and I are here to be those light bearers. And yes, not all of the time. There are going to be times when life gets on your nerves, and that's okay. But the more that you can surround yourself with people and words and writing and encouragement that helps to lift you, but in that bounce back that you might have heard me talk about before, the better equipped you will be to be that light for other people. And yes, it's about being honest. Of course, there are going to be days when you just don't want to. I have days I'm like, do you know what? Just want to binge Netflix. At the time of recording this, the next series of The Crown has just been released. I found that out this morning. Got released 3 days ago, and I haven't seen it yet. Shock horror. There are days when you just want to binge watch Netflix. That's okay. Feel those feelings. Deal with those feelings. Talk to God about those feelings. If you're in the Faith and Happiness Playground, come and talk to us about those feelings. You don't have to do it on your own. And then move forward from there. What we really don't want you doing is to stay sitting in those feelings day after day after day after day. So my reminder, thanks to Rocky, is that you can be that light shining for other people. And if you need a little bit of that sunshine and that light today, allow me to be that light for you. Even just hopefully by showing up and sharing this with you, it'll give you something to think about, make you be like, yeah, okay, it's all good. That's my goal, at least. And I would, of course, I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't remind you. If you are a Christian who is excited about this idea of shining and being that light for others, being happier day to day so that you can reflect God's love more in the world, I would invite you to come and join the Faith and Happiness Playground. faithandhappinessplayground.com/join. And my other invitation as well, because as I shared over on the Facebook page yesterday, God has called me to do this work, and I finally put that flag in the ground, and I'm ready to take ownership of that work that God's calling me to do. But I don't know who I don't know yet. So I have a favor to ask you. If you follow along and you enjoy this and you're nodding along and it's good and you can get stuff from it, but maybe the Faith and Happiness Playground isn't a perfect fit for you. Maybe you can benefit from the happiness stuff, but maybe you decide actually the whole Christian thing, I'm not sure yet. Would you share this with somebody, please? Because I don't know who I don't know. And you might know somebody for whom this is the perfect fit. And do so with my thanks as well, because I really do appreciate it. In the meantime, of course, I'm going to be back tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, very, very soon with another story for you. But thank you for being here. Thank you for playing along. Thank you for sharing this sort of time with me. And I look forward to catching up with you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.